What is up? It's a Figure Hunter, and today we're going to do a comparison review, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at an in-depth comparison review between the Garmin Fenix 7X and the Enduro 2. So the Garmin Fenix 7X and the Enduro 2 compared to the Coros Vertix 2, the top of the line Coros watch. And I want to do this video because they on paper look very similar but have completely stark differences. So if you like this review, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more content. So let's talk about the basics of all the comparisons. Then we're going to look at a hands on the two side by side just to sort of see how they look in appearance side by side, and we're going to break down the primary differences between them. So Vertix 2 on one hand, the Fenix 7X and the Enduro 2 on the other hand. So looking at the price structure, the Vertix 2, the Coros Vertix 2 comes in at $700. And if you were to get really true, a direct comparison, you'd have to go to the Garmin Fenix 7X Sapphire Solar, that's a lot of words, to get the $1,000 version of the 7X, which includes multi-band. There's a $900 version of the 7X, but it doesn't include the multi-band, so it's not as much of a direct comparison. Plus, it has stainless steel components and no sapphire glass. The Enduro 2, even further up the price scale, is $1,100. So out of the gate, it's looking really attractive for the Vertix 2. And then you look at the components. So the Vertix 2 is $300 or $400 cheaper than the two primary comparison options on the Garmin platform. So looking at the similarities in the spec sheet, so the Vertix 2 comes in at 89 grams, the Fenix 7X comes in at like 90 grams or 96 grams, and the Enduro 2 comes in at 70 grams if you use the nylon strap, and I think it's like 85 or 90 grams with the rubber strap, but on the spec sheet it says 70 grams. They all have 1.4 inch screens and 280 by 280 pixels. They all have titanium bezels and backs. They all have sapphire glass. Obviously, the Fenix 7X and the Enduro 2 have sapphire and solar powered glass. They all have touch screens of some component. They all have 10 ATM water resistance. The big thing that's for many runners and outdoor enthusiasts, they all have multi-band GPS. They can connect to two satellites at the same time. They all have 32 gigabytes of storage. They all actually have music storage on them, as well as the other primary thing is they all have mappings. They all have maps, and you can sort of route your course over a picture. You can visibly see a map from where you are. And then they all have super long battery life. Now, Vertix has the upper hand in the battery life spec sheet because it's 60 days versus 32 days on the Fenix 7X and 40 days on the Enduro 2. So longer with the Vertix 2. On the downside, if you're looking at just simple specs, the one weird thing that was left off the Vertix 2 was ANT+ connectivity, which means it's not going to connect to a bunch of bike computers because a lot of those are primary ANT+. But looking down the line, I just feel like they on paper look very similar. When we look at them face to face, they look very similar, and it's sort of like one person may like this aspect, another person may like this aspect of either design. But when you get into the guts and you get into all of these specific line items in detail, we're going to see a stark difference. So let's look at them side by side. All right, so here you have two of the primary comparison type watches. So the Vertix 2 might be at the top of the spectrum for other offerings that are out there. As far as overall premium quality, it's got titanium, it's got a sapphire glass, so it's got like a super long battery life, and it has some other components, like it's the only one that has heart rate variability tracking. But what would we say when we compare? First, I just wanted to show you what they look like side by side. This was loaned to me by Matt LeGrand, who is fantastic. You should definitely check out his YouTube channel. He does incredibly good videos. But I just wanted to show you because they're competitively similar, but we're going to talk about what's not similar. Now, to me, it's sort of like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You can decide which one you like in visually in looking, because there's a lot of similarities. So they're about the same weight, about the same thickness, about the same width, and about the same battery life. But when you look at the two, there are some stark differences when it comes to the quality of the aspects internally. So number one, this has a much lesser heart rate sensor. So the Vertix 2 scores super low for accuracy.
very, very low for accuracy, whereas the Elevate 4.0 has good accuracy. In the same spectrum, the pulse ox tracking on this is all night if you want it to be all night. It's all day if you want it to be all day. Here on the Vertix 2, it's really more for spot checks at high altitude. So pulse ox 2 is here, but it's just not as worthwhile at all. We're going to see that that is actually the overall mantra with the Vertix 2 versus the Enduro or even the Fenix 7X. It includes mapping, but it's a picture map, not as much of a live map where you can route to a Starbucks and follow a trailhead, and it doesn't work the same way. So here on the Garmin platform and family of watches, you actually have the ability to track to true mapping capabilities and follow actual strain off of topological details from where you are located in the world. This has music storage, but it doesn't have any storage from providers. So when you get into, let's just set these down because it's driving me crazy holding them. So when you get into storage, you basically have to store old school MP3s versus here you can download Spotify playlists, Deezer playlists, Amazon playlists. Again, there's no comparison. Here you have heart rate variability that it can track, but it just is a spot check, so it's manually driven by the user. Here is heart rate variability all throughout your night's sleep, just manually, and it's analyzed for you. Here there's sleep tracking, yeah, but it gives you a snapshot of stages, but it doesn't give you actionable information. Here you get multiple layers of actionable information, partially just on the sleep score and the sleep analysis, and then also as it relates to multiple other training components as it relates from the quality of sleep over the last night, over the last week. All of that's built in here. They both have training analytics, but you actually have to run 300 minutes on steady state running using the running profile here to get access to full training analytics, and then you're starting at ground zero. Very, very, very different there, and this is just not an option for the CrossFit community in most situations because we don't want to run 300 minutes within 42 days just to get access. Low customization, although it does have screens, you can't access, rolling screens of information, and so you can see other things, and it has some customizations about what screen you can see, but not full customizations as you have here. They both do have touchscreen, but just this one doesn't use it in all situations. So again, touchscreen, but it's just not functional in all situations. Here you can turn the touchscreen on, you can turn it off, you can use it for different activities. So also here, you have full customization of widgets. You can get third-party widgets, you can get third-party applications. So lots of more wellness features. So they look similar, but they're very, 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 very different in what they're going to provide, the level of detail, the level of specificity, the level of customization, the level of breadth, and so on. So that is my breakdown, hard comparison, thanks to Matt Graham, between the Coros Vertix 2 and the Garmin Fenix 7X, Enduro 2, Tactics 7, all of the above.
All right, so there they are. There are the primary differences. And to me, these are two different offerings. They do not offer the same level of value and benefit at any part of the spectrum on the Coros Vertix 2 relative to the components and the value and the benefits on the Garmin Fenix 7X and the Enduro 2. So looking at mapping, very different experience when you're actually routing somewhere in the wilderness and hiking. Looking at heart rate variability, spot check on the Vertix 2 versus all night, and you could say all day, 24/7 on the body battery aspect of the Garmin platform. The screen, a big thing for me is the Vertix 2 is considerably dim, which obviously if you turn the brightness down on the Garmin, you will extend the battery life, but very dim screen, which makes it not as legible for some people that need more brightness. The touch screen, obviously not fully flexible in every situation on the Vertix 2. The pulse ox is just sort of a spot check for high altitude climbs on the Vertix 2. The sleep is sort of like a visual mess, but it doesn't give you any directionable information on the Vertix 2. The training analysis takes forever to activate. It is a good training platform, but it's really primarily for runners, so not for most of this community. The customization is not there. And even on the GPS, the multiband GPS, where you're saying like, okay, the Vertix 2 is competitive with this new multiband GPS, many different reviewers have tested it in running and upcountry and buildings and in downtowns and seen that the Garmin GPS only setting has been coming out about the same accuracy level as the Vertix 2 multiband setting. So that means you don't have to go to the uber fancy highest cost structure, because the multiband on the Vertix 2 has got about the same concentration strength as the regular on the Garmin platform. And then you add alongside that, so when you look at all these benefits of the Garmin Fenix 7X, most expensive variant, as well as the Enduro 2, you actually could get all of those components other than battery life, all of the components on the Garmin Forerunner 955 at $500 flat. So you're going to drop a lot of battery life. You're going to drop a little bit of screen size. It's going to go from 1.4 inch to 1.3 inch, but you're going to have all of those same in-depth features and benefits that we talked about as what Garmin offers for less money than the Vertix 2. Obviously, it's totally different as far as a rugged viewpoint. But that's my big comparison. That's the big comparison to me, is because there's not a comparison between these watches. To have all these components, but to not really be able to fully put them to use, is to not really have them at all, unless you were just given Vertix 2 as a gift. So you had that's all you got. But that is it. That's the comparison between the Garmin Fenix 7X at the top line and the Enduro 2 compared to the Coros Vertix 2. It's a figure hunter. Thanks so much for watching.